Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to MindShifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeanie. Michael and Jeanie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rachma. Michael is the author of So Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeanie Ryce.
To the brightness within you and the truth that is rooted within me.
Hi, and welcome to MindShifters Radio with Dr. Michael Ryce. Our call-in number is 646-200-4169. Press 1. That lets us know that you want to talk. Otherwise, we just think you're sitting out there listening. There's already quite a few callers on the switchboard. Nobody's in the chat room yet, though. Dr. Tim is already with us. And welcome, Michael, to the show.
Thank you, sweetie. It's a delight to be here. We are honored, as usual, and once again, to be able to offer support in the learning of the ancient Aramaic technology of forgiveness. Our project is that of creating a space that's safe for human life to show up on planet Earth. And we have a simple experiential definition of human life. That is, hold a newborn child, you know exactly what you're designed to live as. And if you're not, then we would ask you the question, what have you given your human life over to? What have you given your human life up to? And usually the answer is, accurately, the generational insanity of hostility and fear. It's been going on for a long time. It was genetically born and bred in us, and it has been reinforced through our environmental experiences with what we'll identify in our codependence work as power person. And we think it's natural and normal, if we live in the standard culture, to have this fear and rage and anger and hostility and frustration. And of course, when we do, it's always somebody else's fault. But we'll invite you to notice if you've been through it 87 different times with 42 different people, you're the only one that was there every time. Maybe it's about you. And forgiveness is the tool. Whoever told you this? Forgiveness is the tool with which to remove content from your mind, from your emotions, from your body. It has absolutely nothing to do with letting somebody else off the hook, because that content is active in you once again. And so we're here to support you in learning those tools and, of course, to learn them ourselves on deeper and deeper levels. Haven't met anybody that's finished the process yet. And when you recognize the depth of the process, that you're looking at cleaning up 1,000 generations, that means every rage, every grief, every hatred, every vengeance, every aberrant behavior born and bred in you through the generations is going to have to go. When they told the story in the ancient scriptures about the Jews wandering in the desert for 40 years, and to get out of the desert, the old generation had to die off, they were not talking about people in old physical bodies physically dying. The root of the word generation is genari. It means cause. All of the old causes based in hostility or fear that were born and bred in you and I have to be forgiven. We have to actively engage in the removal of those energies. They don't remove themselves. And if that's a new conversation for you, if that one's like, whoa, now wait a minute, you mean I'm responsible if I'm angry at Charlie? Well, here's my thought. You've never been angry at Charlie or Billy or Mary or Harry. You've been angry, yeah, but it's had nothing to do with Charlie. Well, but you didn't see what he did. That's what made me, no, what made you angry is the fact that you have anger in you. And Charlie happened to be the trigger for it. But Charlie isn't the cause of what's going on in your physiology. Nobody outside of you can cause something to happen inside of you. And although someone can show up and resonate what's happening inside of you, and you'll get to feel again what's structured in your generations. And so If you choose to engage in the work, you'll start removing every hostility, every fear, literally removing the very capacity to experience any form of hostility or fear, coming back to a love-based being converted. And conversion has nothing to do with church. It's bringing the fear and hostility-based mind back to what it was designed for, a love-based mind. So that's what we're here to support you in. If you want to access the tools and the how-to, you can go to our website. Of course, this conversation is all about that. Questions, thoughts on this topic, we're wide open to receiving. Our call-in number is 646-200-4169, 646-200-4169. If you're on one of the stations that doesn't come through our switchboard, call in, hit 1, and that will tell Jeanie that you're here to ask a question. In the meantime, our new website is open and operating, not fully functional. There's still some bugs in it, but we're working on it. And if you have, I shouldn't say we, I have had very little to do with it. But it's being worked on. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Jeanie, for all the work you're doing with getting the new whyagain.org site operational. We're getting teachers and support group leaders pages ready. Everything's just moving together and forward in an awesome way. But if you go to the new site now, and if you run into any broken links or what have you, if you just email the webmaster, we'll get those fixed. If you look in the upper left-hand corner, right up the corner, you'll see a little line that says Start Here. Click that. That'll start explaining to you the whole process of forgiveness. Radio shows where we walk people through the process. The tools are there. It's all free. It's all open. We would love to share it with you and love to have you share it with someone else. So we're delighted to be here with you. And Dr. Tim, how are you being this afternoon? How's your process going?
It's still progressing. Thank you. Stronger today than yesterday. And getting lots of good support and texts and calls from people. Thank you all who have been holding me in that space of love and checking in and getting close to feeling healthy, which is where we want to be.
Isn't it nice not to have to do everything on your own, but to have a real community of support and people who care for you and are just there to hold the space or process with you and support you? It's such a blessing. This radio show has facilitated such an advance in the work that I'm most appreciative for the fact that we have it in operation.
Well, I agree with that, and it's why I try to be on as much as possible. And the other thing is that the piece in your work that really has helped me more than anything over the past few years, and especially with this most recent and most intense healing crisis, is the concept that the Creator put an elemental force in me that's there to break off the effects of my errors and guide me to truth and happiness if I simply ask it to. So relying on Ruka Dakucha and using those words and doing the breath sessions has been the thing that's gotten me through this without taking an aspirin or an ibuprofen or running to the hospital emergency room. Or it's been a truly amazing process. And I'm very grateful to be made aware of it, and grateful to see the fabulous results that trusting in the process and using it actively provides.
That's awesome. I admire you and acknowledge you for all the work you've done and you are doing, and the work you're doing with people, the support group you've been doing, the gifts you've been giving people in your practice. It's awesome. For those who may not know, who haven't been tuned into the show, Dr. Tim had a pretty heavy-duty spill off of his bicycle, and his handlebars broke into, on, what was that, Friday?
It was a week ago last Tuesday.
A week ago Tuesday. So
and I was fine for 5 days, and then all of a sudden started having difficulty breathing.
Uh-huh.
So I knew it was shifting. I knew it wasn't, a broken bone or anything, because the pain kept moving. And if you have a broken bone, that bone hurts. It doesn't keep shifting around from your shoulder to your lower chest to your upper right shoulder to your lower left back. So I just did the EFT tapping and the breathing, the still point breathing, lots and lots of still point breathing this week. And several times during the day and every night and in the morning. And and it's making a huge difference.
Cool. Well, back years ago when I had a practice in South Florida, this goes back about 30 years ago now, I had a priest come to me for a problem in his shoulder, and he had this intense pain. He'd had looked at in several different ways. Medical doctors couldn't tell him what was wrong. There was nothing they could find, and it was just intense pain. And so we started to work on his shoulder, and all of a sudden, if I remember, it was in his left shoulder, all of a sudden it moved to his right shoulder. And then it went over to his right shoulder and moved to his knee. It went from one leg to the other. I mean, we literally for about, I don't even remember now, 3 or 4 sessions, we chased it all over his body till finally I guess the thing just gave up and said, okay, I'll go, I'll leave. And, in the ancient teachings, that was called getting rid of the demons. Not creatures and characters that are out to get us. There are none of those. There are only those who lack the presence of love, the underlying energy. If you look back through the ages that everybody has ever taken time out from their cultural insanity, their war making, their tribal games, their we abuse in order to prove we're men, and all the garbage that happens in the name of culture, if you look at anybody who took time to check out of the culture and really tap into what was going on under the surface of it, they all came up with the same conclusion. And the conclusion was, oh my God, it's all based in love. And we were given the choice as to how to make that energy move through us. And we could move it through in ways that created trauma and turmoil and pain and craziness. And so people made up the name of a god for that. They called it Satan. And it was something outside of them, something that maybe came inside of them and took possession of them, or, all kinds of crazy beliefs happen. But the truth is, it's an energy system. It's based in love. However, we're given choice. And if we choose to do something other than that love, then we can engage in something totally different. It's all up to us. And as you recognize that you have that choice, then you start to move through what never belonged, and everything starts to shift and change. And so we're here to support you in that process. And if you have a question for us, if you have a thought for us, our call-in number is 646-200-4169. We would love to hear your sweet voice, your question, your thought, what's going on for you. So, Jeanie, do we have any callers or anything happening in the chat room?
Actually, we just lost internet connection, so I am rebooting the whole system. But right now there are no callers unless they've popped on since I lost internet connection. So I'll let you know here in a minute.
So, Michael.
Very good. Yes.
The only change I would make in the last little bit of stuff you said is that we can't ever lose that connection to love. It is what we're made of. It's the soup we're swimming in. It's the ground we stand on. But we can choose to focus on things other than that love.
Right. We can ignore it.
Yeah, we can ignore it, and we can pretend, because we have this ability to create our experience in each moment, we can pretend that we're separate from it, or that it doesn't exist, or that there are demons. And that is how we create our turmoil and our pain and our struggle. And it's been so evident to me over the past few years working with this work that when I truly figure out how I'm focused on the negative thoughts instead of my source is love, and I simply return my awareness to that source and breathe and relax, it all changes. Of course, it never changed at all. It's just that the reality I was creating in my mind changed. It's always there because it's what we're made of. It's who made us. It's what we're made of. It's what we swim in, this creative energy that some have chosen to call love. It's phenomenal.
Absolutely. I'm in full alignment with you on that. And when you recognize that that's the underlying principle, and you can choose to do differently, then you get to return. You get to come back. There's an old story about the prodigal son, and the prodigal son returning is just a person who thought that hostility and fear was the way to go and went into that far country, went a long ways away. And in the ancient teachings, going into that other mindset was referred to as being dead. You might remember the story about the prodigal son where this father sees his lost son coming from a distance, and he says to the brother who stayed home, he says, "Go kill the fatted calf. We're going to have a party, a celebration. Your brother is returning." And the brother stays home, is a little bit, miffed at that. He's like, "Well, why don't I get this party?" And father kind of says, "Well, I can't give you more than everything. You've already got it all. But look, your brother who was dead, that's the definition of death. That's the first death. And if we buy into that death, if we lose awareness of the active presence of love in us, it is the inactivation of the awareness of self, of true being. And anytime we want, we can return to that. We can return from the dead. And if we do, the promise in those ancient teachings was, then you don't have to, if you overcome that propensity to function out of hostility and fear, then you won't have to taste of the second death. You won't have to destroy your physiology by putting energies into it that don't belong. And, of course, we all were born and bred into a world that had all kinds of stuff in physiology that didn't belong. So now the work is the work of forgiveness, the work of removing what never belonged. And as you do, everything shifts, everything changes, and it becomes a whole new game.
Michael?
So we're here to support you in playing that game, and I just heard Jeannie's voice.
Yep, we're back on, and we have 3 callers.
Oh, well, let's say hello to somebody.
Our first one is 607. You're on the air.
Hey, it's Richard again. How are you guys?
Hey, young man, how do you be?
Good. Say, I just wanted to interject in this conversation. I was just at a retreat or women's health seminar over the weekend with John Barnes, and I basically, one of the things we all talk about in the chiropractic community and all that is innate intelligence, which in my mind is the same thing as Ruka.
Yep, that's it.
Because that's that part of ourselves that knows how to heal ourselves, and it's just a matter of learning to surrender to that part and allowing it to do its work, and giving up the evidential mind, or the mind that wants to figure everything out. And anyway, I've been going somewhat through it. I think the blog talk. Anyway, I've been going through a little bit of a healing crisis ever since I was at Heartland, where I accidentally bumped myself on the post, if you guys will remember that. And it sort of like aggravated an old injury, I believe, and it actually carried through this past weekend. And finally, I went to see my chiropractor yesterday, and I believe that after all the years and stuff, finally she was able to get a rib to go back into place for me that probably got popped out a long time ago, and it's been affecting my breathing all along. And anyway, just letting you know that things are moving forward. That's good news for me.
Well, congratulations. And is your house sale, is it gone through?
Well, no, it's going to be a while yet. We just sent in the what do you call it? The proposal, whatever
offer.
it is. Yeah, a purchase offer. It's in the probate, so I don't know when we'll hear back from it. So.
But it's been accepted. You're on for it, for sure.
Well, that's what I haven't heard back from the probate people yet. But I'm assuming it's been accepted. And when it does, then we'll be figuring it out from there. I might be back at Heartland for a while.
Well, we'll look forward to you being our neighbor.
All right.
As we have Julie, who's been here at Heartland now for, she started coming the first year we were here, and she taught school in Dayton, Ohio, traveled back and forth, and I'm not even sure, 6 or 7 years ago retired and moved to Heartland. So, and then Chuck and Magda, Jim and James, we got several folks who are kind of gathering around.
Good.
Nice to see. Yeah.
Hopefully you have a good community going then.
That's the idea. That's what we're working towards.
All right. Talk to you later.
Have a blessed one. And, Jeanie, you've got another caller for us?
Yes, I do. It is area code 970. You're on the air. Hey, Jeanie and Michael and crew. It's Carrie in Colorado.
Hey there, Carrie in Colorado.
Hi, Carrie.
Hey, I have a question that I would love to hear you just discuss a little bit. And I just want to say just thank you so much for having the radio show, for everybody that calls in. I learn so much. It's like having a touch-in point to keep developing my brain cells around this stuff, and I'm just so thankful, so thankful. When I miss a day, I feel like I missed my vitamins or something. You know?
Well, that's
and
cool,
by the way,
and it is a process.
Yeah, I'm feeling very much like it's a process right now. It seems like each time I do a worksheet, I've got a Medusa of about 10 of them to do. And I guess let me see if I can verbalize this. Let me ask you really quick, too. You did get my copy of my code thing, right?
I'm good, yeah.
Because I sent it to you that same day, but I just want to make sure. Okay, so, basically we are all one, right? I mean, there's this giant soup of and we're all part of that. And
so listen to Einstein, he says it's best. He says if you think you're separated from the rest of humanity, you're living in an optical delusion.
So
Michael, you're not coming through very clear.
Okay.
It's real scratchy, rattly.
I don't know what to say.
that's better.
Okay.
Can you say what you were saying one more time?
So Einstein, I think, said it best when he said that if you think you're separate or separated from the rest of humanity, you're living in an optical delusion.
Right.
Eye tricks us, it deceives us, it shows us things that aren't true, and that we're separate from each other, and that's all an hallucination of the left brain. There's actually a great audio recording. If you go to our website, there's a link under, I think it's under other links. And although I don't know on the news site where it is, and it's a recording of an interview that a woman named Jill Bolte Taylor, who's a neuroscientist, has as she describes her left brain stroke, where her left brain breaks down and she sees the whole world of separateness crumble and comes into a different experience. Powerful interview, and it just verifies everything we've been talking about for the last 4.5 decades. There's only one of us.
So let me ask you a question regarding that. So, I start getting excited. I feel like, I've removed so many layers and it feels really good. And then I end up talking to somebody who's, in my thought, they're operating in rage or they're operating in, a lot of old patterns. I mean, I start seeing this kind of difference of the zone that I've chosen to start stepping into. But then I run into a person who's maybe an old friend, and they're all frantic about everything in life and in sort of a, upset state about it. And
different zone.
And I know I need to do a worksheet on, and I think to myself, okay, we're all one. They're part of me, I'm part of them. What I'm experiencing from them is a resonance I'm still carrying around inside myself. So I need to cancel that and do some clearing with it and breathing.
Hold there for just a second.
Okay.
If you see someone who you perceive as being in rage, you can only recognize it because you've got brain cells for rage. However, if you've worked through that rage, you can be a state of total peace. And there's no work for you to do around it. It's just, I remember what rage is like. If their rage resonates some sort of turmoil or pain for you, that's when you want to jump in and do your work. But otherwise, you see what's in brain cells, and there are two perspectives you can see it from. One is you've worked through it. The second one is I haven't worked through this. There's still more of it, and why the hell are you in rage? What's wrong with you? and then that becomes my work.
Well, and I can see when, even if I'm pretty meta, and I'm kind of in my, in a good state, and I go, oh, wow, look, I can observe that this is happening, and I can still feel a little discomfort from it. So I know I need to go do work on that discomfort, what does it mean about me? Or, is this, knowing that it doesn't mean anything about me, but it's still resonating old crystals that I'm carrying around inside. So guess I'm just trying to get to the, and what do you think it was like when Yeshua was walking the earth? Obviously, he didn't have worksheets like we do today that you have done this wonderful job of developing over many years of doing this work. But, the goal canceling process. I mean, how did he just do that in his daily walk? And, it just seems like as I'm on this journey, like I am so enjoying working with Daniel and Susan on my web stuff who did the work for you. They're wonderful, and it's just it's so neat to come back and be working with other people that are on this path because we relate to each other in such a different way. Even if things come up, we're still breathing and doing our worksheets and relating to them as this is my stuff, it's not somebody else's. And, and that is just so wonderful. And then I'm in this world where I have maybe old friends that I haven't talked to in a long time, and I realize what a different perspective I'm coming in life from than it even was 6 months or a year ago, and how I'm really not on the same page with them, ranting and raving and complaining about things or whatever. And I guess I'm just trying to understand, I don't know, what you've discovered about how we integrate this into our lives. I mean, I can see how it'd be tempting to just go live in a community with other people who are into this work, but I don't know that is my path. I feel like I have some work to do kind of out on the front lines, although I like living in quiet places too. But I don't know.
You can always have the best of both worlds. You can always do your work out in the world and have a haven that supports you in a community that thinks and functions like you do to support you in being able to do that, whether you're at home or whether you're away. I know that one of the blessings that Jeanie and I have is when we're out on the road, oftentimes we'll call back and, David's here, and just the space that he holds. And that, I know when I call, we're going to get support for what we need, and that's awesome. So you can you don't have to make it exclusive to do one or the other. You can create something that nurtures you when it's time to lay back and relax and take care of yourself, and you can be out there in the world as active as you need to be. And when you run into, like I know sometimes I'll go and visit with friends from years ago, and they have no eyes to see and no ears to hear what we're talking about. I'm thinking right now of a friend who had a liver problem, and I talked with him about, instead of them going in and chopping it out piece by piece, little by little, and, filling you with toxic poisons to try to counteract the toxic effects that are in there, how about if you just did some work and detoxed your liver? And it was just like I hadn't spoken. Like there were no words, It was like I felt like the cartoon you've seen of the dog listening to the owner, and the owner's got the bubble with words coming out of his mouth. The dog's just got blah 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 blah. And it's like oftentimes when you speak of higher truth to someone, if they have no brain cells, it's like the dog listening to the human. There's no comprehension of what's being said. And so what I've come to with that is I plant the seeds, I let it go, and I just hold a space of love and let people just create the space of allowance for people to do whatever they're going to do. And unfortunately, this fellow, actually I tried to reach him just a few weeks ago, and his phone number is disconnected, and the number that he's had for over the 45, almost 50 years I've known him, and so I suspect he's probably passed away, although I don't know because I'm not in touch with any of his other family. And so I love him, I bless him, I stand as a space of love for him and hold the space, whatever his choices are, and let go of my need for him to hear me.
Yeah, that is great. And I think that's kind of the fine-tuning. I'm experiencing some of that, and also that other piece of understanding when I've been doing this work and I'm getting more clear and I'm observing without feeling a lot of emotion or pain related to it, other people in kind of unconscious behavior. And then I'm asking myself, well, is this me because we're all one, and how do I, and I will keep doing my clearing work when I'm feeling pain or even unconsciousness in relationship to something. But it helps. I appreciate you kind of just talking about it a little bit because my mind kind of trying to wrap around that. And I do have some really wonderful...
Before you move on to something else,
okay.
I think a good analogy for that can be that You know, the Internet is one. Everybody's connected to the Internet's connected. But I can choose to program my computer with garbage and junk and porno and whatever, or I can choose to put awesome, beautiful, wondrous poetry and art and writing on my computer. And, you know, I have my own individual choice. And though we're all connected through the Internet, and in a sense we're all one, I still have my own individual piece of the puzzle that I get to do whatever I want to do with. And if I decide to do insanity, then I do insanity. My insanity doesn't have to leak out all over you, and the only way that it can, you know, some people say, well, you know, I experienced this psychic attack. We had that question come up the other day. Well, the only way that that stuff can leak out all over me is if I've got the resonance for it. If I've got the same energy in me, then there's a place for that attack to land. But if I clean out the attack in me, there's no resonance. There's nowhere for that energy to land. It just, you know, it's like tapping a middle C tuning fork on the desk and putting it in front of a middle A tuning fork. No response, no resonance. And so if we feel we're being attacked by someone, that's where I want to stop and go, oh, okay. So what's my forgiveness work around attack? And I'll watch that, what looks like attack, go by, and I'll love and bless and hold the space. And anything that resonates in me, I'll say thank you for that attack. It showed me another piece of my puzzle. I'm going to do my work around it, and I'll hold the space for you to do the same. And some people will choose to do the same, and some people will choose to go on with the insanity.
That is awesome. The Internet is an awesome image for that, too. That's really great. Thank you. That was really helpful.
I think it's a reflection of who we are. I remember a couple of years ago I got a letter from a woman who was here at Heartland the first 3 years we were in operation. Her name was Donna, and she was actually in grade 9 when she first came to an intensive, found out about Heartland, and decided to quit school and come here and be here on the support team. She was here full-time for 3 years. Her parents were not happy with me, and I said, wait a minute, this is your daughter. This is between you and her. She came to me and said she wants to come and do it. I had put out that anybody who wants to come and be part of the process is welcome. So I'm not going to refuse her, but you need to talk to her about what you want and resolve this. Well, she ended up being here for about 3 years and did quit school in grade 9. And then when she completed here, she applied for college and got into a college as a mature student, ended up getting her degree and marrying the dean of the school, actually, and creating a computer business where they sold it and made megabucks. And about 3 or 4, maybe it's a little longer ago, she wrote to me and she said, you know, Michael, I just want to thank you for the fact that I have a life. And what had happened, she explained, was that for the first time since she'd come to Heartland, she went back to her hometown to visit her friends. And she shared that there was kind of a presumption in her mind that she'd moved on and created for herself an awesome life. When she came here, she literally had never eaten a carrot. Her family's food preparation was a trip to McDonald's. That was dinner. She had not ever eaten a carrot. So she wrote to me and she said, Michael,
adjust your chef. There you go.
Okay. She wrote to me and said, I'm a gourmet chef. I have an organic garden. I grow my own food. I have a degree. I have money. I live in this gentle, peaceful space of love where I choose to live. And I just kind of assumed that all of my friends were kind of doing the same. I hadn't seen them in years, went back to visit. And they're all doing their Coke and M&Ms and their McDonald's, and they're still just junking out and drugging out. And, you know, the fifth of scotch, and he was like, I was shocked. It never occurred to me that they hadn't moved on and created an awesome life for themselves like I had. And so when you go back to someone who's chosen to stay in a particular pattern, it isn't a matter of anything other than going, oh, well, that's a pattern, and I appreciate you, and I bless you, and, hey, have at it, and guess what? There's another way you could do this. And if there's receptivity, great. And if there's not, then you let it go.
And I just wanted to say that is really cool. And I wanted to just say, too, I have like 3 groups of people who are at a distance from me, but I get to do wonderful processing and connecting and support with them, and I'm really grateful for that. And Teddy, our mutual friend, ended up going to Rex's workshop, she and several of her lady friends in Michigan, and loved it, and we're really happy because I've been sharing this work with them, and they got to really integrate it at a deeper level with him, and they've been talking about it for days. So it's nice to have this family. So I guess in relationship to what you just said, at some point we may choose to tune in less to the channels that are on rage and hostility, and be there when we need to be, breathe and hold the space, and then maybe choose other kinds of spaces to be in when we can.
Yeah, it might be time to, I know when I go back home, which we're getting ready to do, we're getting ready to fly up to Canada in about 2 weeks, and when I do, the people who are still playing the old game, it's like, gee, it's real. I remember how much I cherish you, and I appreciate you, and blessings, and we'll see you later, but no, I really don't want to sit around and talk about how the Bruins beat the Maple Leafs. I really don't want to talk about, the fight on the ice last night that took out somebody's teeth. It's really not of any interest. And who won? I don't know. I don't care. It's not in my brain cells to be concerned about that. When it was my turn to do that, I played hockey and I played baseball and all of that, but thanks, it's just not, and I appreciate you. Actually, Michael is very much into to hockey, and I went to a hockey game with him. First time in, 45 years. Went to a hockey game with him. I was probably 2 the last time I went to a game, and down in South Florida. It was great. It was fun, and it's not how I would choose to spend my time. I really appreciated and had a blast being with Michael and Margaret doing that. But would I have gone out, as Michael would, because it's his thing, would I have gone out and bought tickets and gone to that game myself? Not in the next million years, because it's just not my vibration. But being with friends, that was worthwhile.
Cool. I just wanted to, awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Good. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put the next person on, and really appreciate the discussion. Thank you.
When you talk to Teddy again, give her my cell and tell her to give me a call. I'd love to just say hello and catch up with her a little bit. We tried to connect in Florida, and it just didn't work out. So she's back in Michigan now, I take it, and I would love to connect.
Yep. I'll do it.
All right. Blessings. Appreciate you.
Okay. You too. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, we have 3 more callers, and 2 of them have the same area code. So the first one is 336-543.
So 336-543, you are on the air. Give us a name. Where are you calling from?
Jeanie, it's Adam.
Hey there, young man. Good to hear your voice. How are you doing after your little foray the other day? Sounds like that got over with pretty quickly.
Well, I'm doing a lot better today. I told Beth I was going to call on the show, so I'm sure she's at home listening. I just wanted to thank you again. Thank you and Jeanie for calling to check on me the other day after having a run to the ED, and I really appreciate you calling me so fast to check on me. Passing a kidney stone is nothing nice at my age, but these things happen, and it's just such a wonderful day. I seem to have things falling into place for me, and it's amazing when you have someone like my wonderful wife holding a space for me and the amazing group of people we have holding a space, and we're doing this work. I have gotten a call, and it looks like I may have an opportunity at a shot for what I will believe will be my dream job.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. You've been holding the space for that one.
Yeah, I was at my current job yesterday, and I just happened to go to what I feel like is a big boy toy store. I told Michael C. about it yesterday. It's a law enforcement / military outfitter, and there was a local representative there for a certain clothing outfitter line, and I just happened to tell him about how I met my wife, and he called me back later in the day and said, how would you like to be our territorial manager representative? So they've started the ball rolling in the interview process, and I'm holding a space that they offer me the job.
Very cool. Well, we hold the space, and if that's the right one, that you got it, and it serves well and gives you the opportunity to serve.
Yeah, and it'll give me more time to go out to Heartland later on.
All right. Very cool. Well, that can be that sales process can be a pretty lucrative place to hang out. So very cool.
Well, I just wanted to call and tell you how much I believe that this work is just affecting my life, and how much better my marriage is doing with my wife, and how closer I think we're becoming. And every day I do a list of 10 things that I'm grateful for, and it always includes my wife and kids, of course, at the top. But just the more that I'm grateful for, the more the universe opens up, and that I'm doing this work with my wife, and as we hold a space for each other, we just get closer every day. And I just appreciate her opening up me to this work, and I appreciate you and Jeanie and the group of people that are out there that keep expanding that I have met, and how much this means to me, and I appreciate that.
Well, that's fabulous and awesome. And there's I'm trying to remember his name, one of the philosopher theologians from way back. I don't know whether it was Kierkegaard, but he said if the only prayer we ever said was thank you, that would be enough. So that's a great place to go.
Well, Michael and Jeanie, I appreciate it. And Michael C., I know if you're out there listening, thanks for calling and checking on me the other day as well. And I know everybody else from the group is out there listening, and I hope you all have a great day. And I'm going to slide to the side and give somebody else some airtime. So.
Awesome. Well, nice to hear your voice,
Adam.
and we appreciate your willingness and some of the heavy-duty things you've been willing to face and move through and hold a space of love for. And I just see the power flowing through you to bring healing to a lot of people. So it's cool. All right. So, Jeanie, we've got another 336. I wonder if that's going to be Beth.
Well, actually, we have another call before that 336 number, but
okay.
This is 603. You're on the air.
Namaste, love line blessings. This is Mark, hailing from the Peace from New Hampshire.
How are you, sir?
Oh, pretty good. I mean, definitely like everyone else, definitely very much aware intuitively of all the mega shifts going on multiple levels of creation, and it's all focused on the Earth, as well as the other planets are also ascending. So it's pretty neat to be directly a part of it in incarnate form.
Cool. Well, is there some way we can support you today? Do you have a thought or a question for us?
Well, I think that for many of us, it's definitely a transformational process, which is done on all levels of our being, as you know, and it's great to see many different perspectives for the greater good of the whole, because some work for some people, others work for others, and we each have different combinations of approaches which are beneficial. And I can definitely see how yours is beneficial for many.
Well, that's what we hold the space for, and together we make the difference, and that's what's needed today for sure.
So, is there anything I can do to be of divine service for you and your listeners? Because I'm also a behind-the-scenes supporter for Earth Angels Radio and all the hosts as well.
Yeah. Keep holding the space, and we'll move the tools forward to every mind, heart, and being on the planet. That's what we're here to do, and holding the space for that, being the connected space of love, and support of that is one of the highest gifts you can give to us and to give to the planet. So we appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, and we can definitely do that through all of our radio shows, because, as you know, I'm a host as well, so we all do that together.
Awesome. All right, very good. Appreciate your call.
All right, love, light, and blessings.
Okay. Blessings. Take care. Bye-bye. Jeanie. Hello, Jeanie. How are you?
Oh, I guess if I turn my mute back on, you can hear me. I said 336-215. You're on the air.
Hi, it's Paula, not Beth.
Oh, okay. Hi, Paula.
From Greensboro. Good.
Yes.
I just walked into my doctor's appointment, so I'm in the waiting room. So the one thing I just wanted to ask is, if I give you my cell phone number, could you have Michael T., if he wants to call me? I've been listening all week, and we have such parallel lives and what he was working on. I would just like to talk with him, and you could ask him if he would like to do that, but if he doesn't want to, I understand.
Okay, sure, you can do that. Absolutely.
So my phone number is 336-215-4024.
I think Jeanie's got it there. I'll get Jeanie to mark it down, and I'll pass it on to Michael C.
Michael T, or is it T? I mean, it was the guy that was talking about the, his 20-some-year-old daughter, because I have a 20-year-old son, and then the separation with his own parents. Is it C? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, and Adam, it was great hearing from you. I met you when you came with Beth on the Friday nights when she first started doing the classes, so you sound wonderful. I can't wait to run into you again.
Is there anything we can do to support you and what's happening with your son, or any other questions around the work?
Well, it was just
now you've got our ear.
Yeah, I went through when Michael C. was talking about the stuff, the pain of the past with his own, separation from mom or dad. I don't remember which it is because mine was mom, and then I'm the mother, and then my 23-year-old son, and then there was some separation starting to show up, but not bad. And I was clear that I was running him off because of my own energetic blockages. I like that word because I finally got it with this week when you talked about that. My own energetic blockages were, I didn't have anything cognitive, and that's why I couldn't figure. It was hard. It's like there's no words. I don't know what this is. And it took 3 weeks for me to allow the energy. 3 weeks. Now, this isn't just breathing for a day or two. It's 3 weeks. 1 week I was totally unfunctional. Second week I was in pure panic attacks. Third week it morphed into something else. And when I woke up on a Monday 3 weeks later, I was free of it. And then my son called me and said, I want to come spend 2 hours with you today out of the clear blue. And he just called me a while ago and had another 20-minute conversation with me. And he said, you're really different, Mom, and I like it.
Well, that's the process work. And, sometimes the work is cognitive. Gee, up comes this experience. I work through this experience. I forgive as to it. And that's why we have tools for cognitive process. And then there are tools for non-cognitive process. You don't need to know what that energy is about. You just need to know, I'm in a funk. I think I'll do all of the above. I think I'll breathe. I think I'll do my work, and let that pass. And giving it the time and the space that it takes, it can literally be just like somebody cleaned the windshield, and all of a sudden everything looks different. So that's cool. Glad for you.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing it, and we'll pass your number on to Michael.
Thanks.
Okay, blessings. Take care. Pizza Doctor Forgiveness.
Okay, we have one more caller, area code 336430. You're on the air.
336, you are on the air. Give us a name. Where are you calling from?
This is Beth from Greensboro.
Oh, Beth from Greensboro. How are you, young lady?
Good.
Were you on when Adam called?
Yeah, I couldn't hear my name, so I figured I needed to call in.
There you go. Well, it's a delight to hear your voice. How are you?
I'm doing well. Today's a great day. I have the day off, which is just phenomenal.
Nice.
And I just took some time. We have an old mill here that's actually just 5 minutes from our house, and I just bought some fresh oats, and I am planning on making some of that awesome oatmeal, that raw oatmeal.
And you're going to go up to the mill and just enjoy the water and the greenery?
Yeah, it would. And I've not been eating very well recently. So I'm trying to redirect my motivation there as far as taking in some better nutrition. So I'm taking today to purchase some healthier foods around the house because I've found that I'm really craving some of my drugs, which would be sugar and salt recently.
So here would be my input for you. When you get home, take everything with sugar in it in the refrigerator and in the cupboards. And if you want to poison a friend, give it to a friend. Otherwise, put it in the compost heap. Let it go. And then make a resolution. This can be a good way to transition. Make a resolution to only buy things that really support you and only allow those things into your home. And I suspect, although he might want to give me a kick in the butt for saying it, I suspect Adam might just want to go along with that. And then if you're going to do one of your cravings, okay, so I go out somewhere where they have, I go to the health food store and, sadly, Whole Foods, which proclaims to be whole, almost every dessert they have is filled with white sugar, which is anything but whole. It's one of the most fractionated poisons on the planet. But if you're going to do it, enjoy it, love it, bless it, get it as healthy as you can, and have fun with it. But resolve to just have that which supports you in your home, and, your kids will tend to move to another level, Adam will tend to move to another level, and things will get easier.
Well, I will definitely accept some support in making that happen because that has been a challenge. Definitely.
Were you breathing as I was talking about that?
No, but I am now. Thank you. I'm like, no sugar.
Yeah, I caught that starting to take a breath when you spoke. It's like, oh, you're holding your breath here. Let's take a breath. And, it's safe to do my life without drugs. I don't need sugar. I don't need, half foods where the most of the nutrients have been stolen out of the food and been replaced with chemicals to make it taste like food and the nutrients sold to the pig farmers. I deserve to have real, honest-to-God nutrition. And, the reason for eating is to get nutrients into your body, not to fill your stomach or satiate your taste buds. So take that stuff into your home and, once in a while it doesn't hurt to go out and splurge and do something different. But if you keep it out of your home, it'll be a lot easier to stay on track because it's just not there, when the stuff comes up and you don't have a Twinkie to reach for. Then
right.
There's not one on the shelf. You're going to have to breathe and do your work. So, it makes things a lot easier.
And the awareness that I've garnered from doing this work and your teaching with drugs not being what I used to consider a drug, what more society considers a drug, nicotine, alcohol, whatever, because I thought, I don't do drugs. Well, right. Yeah, sugar. I just was blind to that.
Yeah, the atomic structure of sugar is very close to heroin.
Well, when I have a craving for it, I definitely believe that fact.
When with shaking hand I reach for my fix, I reach for a worksheet instead.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for that. And thank you for all your support and the support last weekend with the trip to the ER. That was much appreciated because I, coming from the medical background that I have been trained in, my mind is still stuck in that way of thinking. So having your insights and opening up to a new way of looking at things is very much appreciated. Thank you.
Cool. Tell us about how the support group's going.
It's going well. It's a small group. We actually meet every other Friday. Usually on Fridays, Adam and I travel to pick up the children. But it's a wonderful group of mostly women, and I enjoy the work so much, and I enjoy them, and I enjoy being able to share it with them. So, yeah, I love it. Paula hasn't been for a while. If she's still listening, I hope that she can come back and join us. But a nice core group is pretty loyal to it.
Yeah, very cool. And do you hear much from Brad? Does he show up very often or at all?
Brad, no. No, he he started the group, and I'm so grateful to him for doing that. And then I took it over in January. But no, I haven't seen him in a little while.
I'll maybe put out an invitation to join you. Maybe share a little bit about your experience in the intensive, and maybe you'll inspire him.
I will do that. I really enjoy Brad very much. So, yeah. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Well, have a blessed one. We appreciate you and Adam.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Look forward to the next time we get face-to-face. All right. Blessings.
I love that. Have a great weekend. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, we have one more caller, and we're down to about 5 minutes. 954, you're on the air.
Oh. Hi, it's Monica. How are you? Hello. Hello?
Hey, Monica. Doing great. Good to hear from you.
Oh, I'm doing very good. I got that Vitamix, and it's an amazing piece of equipment. I'm still getting the hang of it, and the stuff that I've been making from it, it's potent. I'm finding I'm needing to make much smaller quantities than what they have in the cookbook because it's just the stuff is so rich. All the drinks, all the soups and things, they just have so much going for them that I just don't need to eat that much. And I noticed that, too, when I was at Heartland. My whole way of wanting food, my whole appetite system has just changed. I used to feel I needed to just pile on the food, especially, if I was, someplace where there was really good food, like we had at Heartland, amazing food. And I know that I realized later doing worksheets that it came from a sense of lack, that, if in my family, if you didn't grab it now, it might not be there the next time. And I know I don't need to do that now, and just eating the right quantities and eating the right food, portions, and with the right ingredients, it just makes all the difference in the world. I feel like a whole new person. And
also, you're eating live foods by, blending it in the Vitamix and everything. The enzymes and everything, all the nutrients are alive in the food. So you're getting, actually your body's being fed, whereas a lot of foods, what's called foods today, you're putting quantity in your body, but you're not putting any quality. There's no nutrients in it. So even though you're stuffed until your stomach can't, take any more, it's your body's still saying feed me because it's not getting that nutrition. So by doing the juices and all of the live foods like you're doing, you're giving it real nutrition, and so that's why you're feeling such a difference. And that's awesome. Accolades to you, girl, for staying with it.
Well, thank you. I'm finding though shopping
is work in the last 6 months. It's amazing.
Oh well, it's thanks to you guys. I feel like I have literally an entire new lease on life, and I totally am appreciative and grateful, and love the fact, like everyone else has been saying, that you are doing these radio shows and just making it possible to touch bases with you and share. I'm just really, really, really happy. And I wanted to share with you, too, Michael, we talked about it the other day, just how profound this work is, even with people that have never, ever heard about you or heard about just what they can do to shift their life around. I have a neighbor, a next-door neighbor, who I've been living where I live for the past 16 years. So I've known this young man since he was a teenager, and he always liked to blast his rock and roll music to the point where all the windows, literally all the windows and sometimes even the walls, would reverberate from the sound of his speakers. Well, and every so often he did this, and I used to always, be marching over there to complain about him and say, well, I'll call code enforcement. It's really big about that. And, of course, he went back and said, well, I called code enforcement, too, and they say I can blast the music until such and such time. So the other day he was doing it again, working in the yard. He had a truck parked out in front of his house, and he had the speakers going max. And my first thought was go back into my old pattern, and I stopped for a second and just took some breaths and just said, hey, let's see if he just turns it down on his own, if I don't come after him. Well, he didn't. So after about an hour, I did go out because it was really starting to get to me. But instead of marching over there, I just walked over and just asked him, could you just turn the bass part down a little bit? And normally at that point I would just turn around and go back in the house. At that point I just stopped. I took a look at what he was doing. He was landscaping his front yard. It looked really nice, as a matter of fact. And I stopped to compliment him. And he had this sudden change. He's always had this angry look on his face whenever he sees me, even if I don't confront him. If I'm just driving down the street, he sees me.
We've got about 60 seconds left. Go ahead.
Okay, well, what happened is that he just had this immediate shift where he said, I've been doing this gardening. We had this amazing connection and conversation, and we talked for a long time. He gave me gardening tips if I wanted to grow my own vegetables. And as I was about to leave after we were talking, he turned around and said, I've always had this certain attitude about you, but all of a sudden, I was almost going to go there again today, and I looked at you, and I realized I needed to have a different perspective about you. I needed to have a different connection with you.
Wow.
And, and just like that. And I knew it came from the shift inside of me.
There's a great line in the Course in Miracles. It says, billions yet unborn will benefit from the work you've done, and that is a kind of energetic shift that changes the dynamics of the planet. Thank you for your work. And bring a stranger to the show tomorrow. Have the best year yet of your eternal life. We're out of time. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Monday.
Yes. Thank you, sweetie.